So for the longest time, I believed that there were two types of people in this life. People who are born with more extroverted tendencies and more introverted guys like me. So I had this friend group growing up in high school, and later on as well, the friend groups were similar. Most of these guys were very extroverted, very comfortable speaking to strangers, seemed very confident in social situations. And even little things that they probably weren't even thinking about, but I noticed, like the fact that they were very confident and comfortable being loud, talking with like a level of volume that I looked at and thought, you know, if I were to speak that loud, I'd be worried that people are looking at me and judging me. As a more introverted kind of guy, I was the opposite. I walked into social situations almost trying to go unnoticed, dealing with anxious thoughts, overthinking, looking at myself as someone who is socially awkward. That was the perception that I had about myself. And I thought that was never really going to change. I thought that was just something which was, you know, forever intertwined with my introverted personality. And I shouldn't try to be something that I'm not. But I always wondered, I always had this thought that, you know, why is it that in, let's say, 10% of situations, I actually do kind of act quite extroverted? Like very specific situations, like, you know, with my friends when we're laughing about something or playing games after school, I would be really loud. I would be like super energetic and hype and, you know, kind of like laughing and being noisy like I didn't care who was watching me. Just those rare situations where I became a different person. And now that I'm older, I realized that actually introverts and extroverts is not something which is set in stone. Any introvert actually possesses that more extroverted side of themselves. It's just a case of unlocking it, of bringing out that side of your personality into the open. So by the end of this video, you'll know how to turn that on and unlock this more confident and energetic side of your personality, as well as the less anxious and overthinking side as well. So the main idea that we need to understand is that introverts can't go from 0 to 100 just like that. In terms of like the social expectation, we can't just force ourselves straight away to act extroverted. Like I know a lot of more extroverted guys who could, you know, they could just wake up from a nap and then 2 minutes later they're in the middle of a room full of people and like they're just talking to people like it's no problem. Introverts, we struggle with that. We struggle from like going from 0 to 100 in terms of like what's expected of us, in terms of like how socially demanding this environment is in. We need time to almost warm up and mentally prepare ourselves before going into environments like that. So the way that we do this, if we were to think of introverts on one side of the spectrum and extroverts on the other, the way we move from one end of the spectrum to the other is through taking our time to warm up socially and racking up small wins. So what do I mean by a small win? So it's a little social challenge that you can do. Anything that's like a little bit scary, that's going to get you out of your comfort zone in a small way, but it's not so scary that like there's no chance of you doing it. So instead of just like jumping into the pool, we're dipping our toes in. We're doing like a challenge, which is going to get us out of our comfort zone, but in a manageable way. So I'll tell you a story. So this year I went to this work social. So it's almost like a networking event after work for graduates. So there's lots of people there my age, lots of people that I've never met before. And we're all going out for like drinks after work. So I'm leaving work that day and I know I've got to go to this thing, but I'm really just not in the mood. Like, I've been working all day, I'm tired, I'm really like not feeling in the mood to socialize. And on the train into London, where this event is going down, I'm kind of starting to get those anxious thoughts like, oh my God, there's going to be loads of people there who I've never met before. It's going to be quite demanding for me right now to go into an environment like that and be expected to like actually talk to people. But in the back of my head, I know that if I follow my protocol for warming up, for racking up small wins, then I'll be okay. Then I'll be able to unlock the social energy that I need right now to succeed in this environment. So, the first small win that I do, and this can be lots of different things. You'll be able to recognize what these small wins are, like in time. But my first small win was, I see a guy on the train a few seats from me wearing an Arsenal Football Club t-shirt. And I recognize that as an opportunity because Arsenal is my favourite team. And looking at this guy, I know that we have at least one thing in common that we can talk about. This is an absolute layup for me. So I go over to him and I ask him what he thinks the score is going to be for tonight, because I know he's on his way to a game. And we have like a little back and forth conversation for 2 minutes. 2 minutes, that's all it needed to be. And I leave that interaction feeling ever so slightly less anxious. I'm out of my head a little bit and more social than I was feeling 5 minutes ago, which is the important thing. You know, we're not expecting miracles here, that I'm suddenly just going to become like really, really extroverted. But the point is I'm feeling more social, and it was an easy win for me. It was an easy thing that we could talk about. So the next thing I do, after I get off the train, and this is one of my favorite things to do, I do this before every time I go out. I walk into a shop in the station and I grab a piece of gum and go up to the counter and I ask the man at the counter 2 questions. I always ask these 2 questions. I say, how has your day been? And have you had any interesting customers? So those 2 questions right there, they're nearly always enough to spark some like little exchange, like just some little low stakes conversation. Nothing scary, nothing I can't handle. But again, it's getting me out of my head. It's helping me practice talking to this person that I don't know and helping me feel more social. So then after that, what I do, and this one is a little bit more challenging. This one always gets gets me like feeling a bit more adrenaline. But what you can do is you can go up to a random stranger, anyone, and pay them a compliment. Just some small, non-offensive compliment. Compliment them on your shoes. Compliment them on like their jacket or something. Just give them a genuine compliment. Think of something that you like about them. Walk over, pay the compliment. 5 seconds later, you're gone. Doesn't have to be some long, drawn-out interaction. Just give them a compliment and walk away. And that feels like a little bit more challenging. Like I said, that I always get like a little bit of anxiety before I go and do that. But again, like this is where I feel like I make the most progress because I'm conditioning myself to feel confident walking up to strangers, recognizing that nothing bad is going to happen before I go into that environment where I'm going to have to do the exact same thing. So it makes perfect sense. So then I'm walking into this like bar area. There's like bar and there's like food stands and stuff where I'm about to meet these people. Check my phone to see where they're sitting. And the last part of my warm up. So I go over and say hi to these people, but instead of taking it further than that, without coming across as rude, I'm not launching into a conversation with the group because to me, that is scarier. That is higher social pressure than talking to one person. I focus my attention on one person at first and get into a conversation with this girl that I've never met before. And I know that this is the last part of my warm-up. This is like, all the other things have been quite shallow. This is where like I have a proper conversation with someone. And because I've gone through my small wins so far, I'm already feeling good. I'm already feeling confident and like more energetic. Have a good conversation with this girl. And then if you were to fast forward 10, 15 minutes later, I'm interacting with the whole group. I'm making jokes, I'm bantering, I'm like telling stories, and I'm really comfortable with everyone looking at me. That is how I feel right now. And of course, the ironic thing is like, none of these people know that like, when I was sat there on the train, I was not in a social mood whatsoever. I was feeling anxious, was honestly thinking about like not even going. But I turned it around through that warm-up.